So I haven't done a video in quite a while. Thought it might be interesting to show you how I coat screens. How this is a screen that I use for screen printing t-shirts. And if you can hear this, very fine mesh screen. Obviously you can see through it. Well, I'm going to coat this with a photosensitive emulsion, or a liquid emulsion that is sensitive to light. All right, and I can explain that as we go along, but this is what a clean screen looks like. And I stripped about 16 of these last night, set them out overnight to dry, because we use a power washer and chemicals and quite the process. But it's loud and noisy, and so I didn't video that part. But so I have 16 of these screens to coat with emulsion, and then I'll put them in my drying cabinet, and it'll all be kept in the dark. The cabinet has a door on it, so all light is sealed out, and that's also why I'm using this yellow light here, because if I put the emulsion on the screen with bright lights on in the room, then it'll start to cure too quickly, and it'll get hard on the screen, and I won't be able to expose the screen to create the stencil that I need to print with. So we have to do this in a dark room with a yellow light or a red light some people use, so that the emulsion doesn't expose too quickly. This is the emulsion here, and I'm going to try to open it up without breaking my fingernails. This lid just snaps on here, keeps it sealed up, but this stuff gets really sticky, or it hardens around the edges, makes it hard to get off there. I just use a regular spatula and just stir it up a little bit, just to kind of mix in. It separates out at the top a little bit, so I like to get it all consistent. But I don't want to stir it too forcefully. I don't want to get air bubbles in the emulsion. You can see on video there, it looks blue in the video, which is what it is. It's a bright blue, but under the yellow light here, the blue and the yellow gives it kind of a green tint, but it's actually a really pretty blue color. See there? And but anyway, I don't want to get too many bubbles in the emulsion itself, because then that will create pinholes in the screen whenever I go to coat this on the screen. We don't want pinholes or anything. This is called a trough, or emulsion trough. It's just aluminum and has a nice sharp edge to the front here, and I pour emulsion in here. I don't know how much you'll be able to see on camera, because I gotta kind of set this up just right. Yeah, well, I'll just pour it, and you get the idea. But it's nice and thick. I don't know, probably about consistency of pancake batter, maybe. Something like that. Kind of let it drizzle out. I don't want to waste too much. Plus, I also don't want to get too much on my work table here. Just less I'll have to clean off later. So this is the trough full of emulsion. I have to keep that level, or else the emulsion will pour out of it. I'm trying to show you in there. So okay. Then we take a screen like this, and we take the trough like this. We start at the bottom, and just out of camera range there, but I start at the bottom, and then I tilt the trough forward, and the emulsion starts to pour out, and then I slide that trough up the screen and then tilt it all back, and then it runs back into the trough. Okay, so you can see I got a nice thin coat of emulsion on that side of the screen. And I flip the screen around while I keep the tray level, and I do the same thing. Tilt the trough against the screen, slide it up, and then tilt it back so everything runs back into the trough. If I get a little bit of extra, which I did right there, kind of give it a little scoop like that. Now this emulsion coated screen, that'll stay wet for 24 hours or so. Actually dries pretty quick, but I usually wait 24 hours before I try to expose this to our stencil in the exposure unit. So for now, I got to put these in the storage closet in the dark, and then I'll move on to the next one. Maybe might have to move my camera. There we go. All right. So now I know that my camera is in the way of my door, so I'm going to move this back here one time, and I'll coat a screen from that angle. Do the same thing. So hold the screen at about a maybe 30-degree angle. Have the trough at the bottom, tilt it forward, and then slide that up, and then tilt it back. Kind of pick up any extra emulsion that might be there. Same thing on the inside. Give it a little wiggle. Slide, tilt back, just like that. Okay, and this goes in here. Oh, just barely hit just barely got that door open. Okay, that's that. Now let's move camera to a different angle. Let's see if we can get a different shot of this. I don't have much room to work in this dark room. Right there, you'll probably be looking at my back from there, but kind of give you an idea. So I have my screens down below here, going like that. That way, and I turn it 90 degrees just out of habit. I don't really need to be done that way, but that way I know I get a nice even coating left to right and top to bottom. All right, so that's my nice coated screen. And you can see this one, it had a hole in the screen. I don't know if you'll be able to tell. Yeah, right there. That's okay. The hole is way off center, way up here. So that screen's still usable. So I don't need to throw that away or replace it or anything. Most of the images that I stencil onto these screens are in the middle, right in the center of the screen anyway. So let's try another one here. I'm standing kind of off to the side, so you're not right looking at my back. So it's kind of awkward for me here. I just thought it'd be interesting for you to see this process, to hear this process. Hopefully you can hear it. I have a little microphone on my shirt. And let me move this back over here again. Try to move this somewhere where I don't have to move it again. Let me try this spot there. What I might do is just speed this part of the video up, like I do, make it look like I work fast. This process, you can't really go too fast. You make a mistake. but it's a necessary part of the job. Got to have screens coated in order to print shirts. You got to have screens cleaned in order to coat the screens. You got to have emulsion ready to go when it comes time to coat the screens. I usually save this job up and do a whole bunch of screens at one time. Like I said, I have 16 screens here total. I don't know how many I've done so far. I just think that's a neat sound. When you get that nice zip sound, you know you're doing it right. Now my trough is getting kind of empty. I don't want to run it completely dry. I think I got enough there. I could do one more, and then I'm going to have to reload the trough. How's this looking back there? Oh, yeah. One more. I should get like a GoPro camera, attach it to my head so you can see exactly what I'm seeing. Might be a little more interesting than looking at my backside. All right, so now I'm going to put some more emulsion in here. See if I can, there we go. Might give you a little better angle of what I'm doing. Might be a better way to do this part, but I haven't found it yet. I'm just letting that run in there, just kind of drizzle in. Now, if I get that trough too full, then obviously it's going to run over the edge, make a huge mess. Like I said, this stuff is really sticky. It almost reminds me of, the smell of it reminds me of like Elmer's glue. So it might have, the same sort of chemical compounds as Elmer's glue, but then it has that blue coloring to it and the photosensitive properties to it. If I'm not careful, if I tilt that trough too much, I'll have emulsion all over the floor, which I've done before. There's all kinds of splatters on the floor there. So that's that. Let me try a different angle again. I know this one gets in the way of the door. So let's try that. This is my bathroom right here. So I don't have much space here to work with at all. Just try to utilize this as much as possible. Yeah, that should work. Okay. So this is real close up and personal with you. Give you a good idea. Oops, see there, I dripped some. I want to get his emulsion as close around the edge as possible. Obviously, I can't get my fingers in close, and the trough is only wide enough to go that wide. Because when I put the image in the middle, where I screen print through, I want to have as much area covered as possible, so I don't have a chance of ink accidentally getting through the screen somewhere I don't want to. You've probably seen videos when I'm actually screen printing. I take masking tape and tape all around the edges to keep the area as clean as possible from ink. But you want to coat as much of the screen as possible so you have as much surface area to use for artwork. know this is a little longer video than normal, and I'll probably edit it down anyway, or speed this part up. Whoops. See, now if I'm not paying attention, get emulsion everywhere. That's a nice squealing sound or squeaking sound along the screen texture. There's different what's called mesh counts of screens. These mesh counts, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on here. Down here at the bottom it says 110. Okay, that's 110 little nylon threads. I think nylon, maybe polyester, I don't know. In an inch, 110 in an inch, and that is, I think, an inch. I don't know, probably. And that is the mesh count, and that's about average. There's 130 mesh I've seen. There's 200 and whatever mesh, really fine mesh for real high detail printing. I don't know if there's any lower mesh than 110. This is one of the bigger meshes, or more open meshes. I got one more scoop there because I got a big blob there. Okay, so all my screens are 110 mesh. Pretty multi-use or pretty common mesh count for not real high quality prints. Like I wouldn't be able to do like photo prints with these on a shirt because the mesh count is a little high. It puts down too much ink when I go to print is what happens, and it's hard to get a nice precise sharp edge on the artwork on the lower mesh screens. Higher mesh screens, you do like what's called a 4-color process, where you build your colors with cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. You can do really nice photo quality screen prints, but you need a real high mesh. You need a real high mesh screen, and you need a real precise screen printing press, which I don't have. Mine is very old, and registration is not very good on it, so hard for me to print highly detailed images. So I try to steer away from that. I want to do good quality work. I don't want to put stuff out that would be disappointing to the customer. So I know what my limitations are, and this is one of them. 110 mesh screens. Now I could buy a bunch of new screens in different mesh counts, because when we're printing with white ink, for example, you want a low mesh count, like a 110, or I don't even know if they make a 90 or what they do, but because white ink especially is very thick, and so it's hard to push white ink through a high mesh count screen. And a lot of my prints use white ink. So that's why I keep the 110s. Like I said, I could order new higher mesh count screens, but they don't make screens in 20 inch by 20 inch anymore. Everything's bigger than that. And my cabinet that, get this up. There we go. My cabinet that holds my screens, which I'll show you that over here. How about that? This, just a plywood cabinet. It only holds 20 inch by 20 inch screens. So if I would get bigger screens, I would have to build a bigger cabinet or create another dark room somewhere to store them when they're coated with emulsion. So I don't want to do that. I do have bigger screens here. Like I have some right here behind the camera that they're probably 2.5 feet tall, maybe 3 feet, 36 inches, and probably 24 inches wide. And then there's some underneath the table there that are a little different sizes. But I use 20 inch by 20 inch 110 screens. That's basically all I'm saying. So now I have to clean up my mess here, or clean up my tools, my table, work table here. So now I can set my camera back here in front of the door like that. I got my door latched. So now I got to get the extra emulsion out of the trough back into the bucket. And I do that simply by pouring it in. So come out the end. I'm trying to do this so you can kind of see. There we go. So I kind of like this, just like paint. A little squeegee to help it out. It's really thick stuff, and if I let emulsion on this trough, it'll dry and get super hard, and I won't be able to peel it off, and it'll ruin that. So I got to clean this as much as possible with the spatula, and then I take it over to my washout sink, scrub it up, hit it with the pressure washer, clean everything up really good. Emulsion itself, to be honest, I don't even remember how much I paid for a gallon of this last time. But a gallon lasts me a while anyway. I coat screens maybe once a month. I'll print a bunch of shirt jobs. I usually save the screens for a little while because sometimes customers need to order a couple more shirts after the order is done. So rather than remake the screens, I'll just hold on to the screens for a little bit with their artwork on. And after some time goes by, then I decide to strip the screens and recoat them, reuse them again for another job. So I do that process about once a month on average. Depends on how many print jobs I'm doing. Most of my print jobs, all my print jobs are only up to 4 colors. So any given job, printing on t-shirts, I may have up to four different screens used for one job. So if I don't have at least 4 screens sitting in my cabinet ready to go, then if a job comes in that needs 4 colors, I have to hurry up and strip some screens and coat them and let them dry. And that process takes a couple of days because I have to wash them, pressure wash them, leave them sit overnight to dry, then coat them, sit them overnight to dry, then expose them to light with the stencil on them, wash them out, and set them up to dry. And that takes another day. And then if everything's right, good, then I can print shirts. So really, it takes 3 days to get ready to print one shirt. So that's why, most screen printing companies will set a minimum of shirts to print at a dozen or 2 dozen or whatever, because we have to adjust for all that time involved just getting ready to print. And then the tear down after the print job, we have to clean all the ink and re-prep the screens and all that stuff. So the actual printing of the shirts doesn't take very long. It's the setup and the tear down that is very time consuming, labor intensive. So that's a little bit of it. That's coating screens. Thanks for watching.